Okay, cool. So first thing is, obviously we're here to talk about GeoFarm. So if you'll do me a favor before we get started, I'm going to email all the slides out to everybody and also a list of resources that I use. So you don't have to take notes or try and remember all the companies that I mentioned. Not that there's a ton of them, but I'll send all of that to you. And then before we get started though, will you take a picture of me here and tag me on Instagram? I'm gonna put my Instagram name in here, and just, I have two spots that I'm gonna ask you to take pictures. And then we're gonna give away a $50 gift card to one random winner here. So my Instagram name is at Realtor David, Realtor_David. If you just want to tag me in that with a silly face or whatever, hopefully we're going to have some fun today while we get started here. So first question for you in chat, will you just put a 1 if you have had a farm, done a farm, or are currently doing a farm, or a 2 if you've never done it, but you've wanted to do it? All right, Tamina, got a 2. 1, kind of, but not well. Okay. I think Amy's a 1. Maybe, yeah, you're a 1, Amy. I'm going to tell everyone you're a 1. So first thing on that is, when I talk about geofarming with a lot of people, I hear a lot of problems or reasons why people say they shouldn't do a farm or why it doesn't work. So first one I hear all the time is geofarming doesn't work because direct mail is dead or something like that. But there's usually 3 underlying issues with why a farm doesn't work. You don't have a budget, you don't have a long-term plan, or you have the lack of knowledge of the market trends or competition. And the budget and the plan, I think, are the most important, because if you're thinking like, I'm just going to send 1 postcard and I need to get a listing, it's not going to work. And then that's when people give up, right? Their plan is 1 postcard to a listing versus having a 12 or 18-month plan. So we're going to go through the plan, the budget, all of that, so that you can make a successful farm. So before we dive into the farm, I'm going to share what I've learned and then my results, so that you know that I'm not just making something up today to talk to you on Zoom. So first things that I've learned after doing this farm now is most clients that I go meet with inside of my farm had hired an agent to help them buy the home, and then they're hiring me to list their home. And I always ask them, why aren't you hiring that agent who sold you the home? And they always tell me that they never hear from them, they were terrible or whatever. And what I've noticed is our industry is filled with agents who are just like turn and burn. If they've got a closing this Friday, they've already spent the money on Tuesday that they were going to get, and they've moved on from this client 3 or 4 days later. And that client never hears from them again. And so there's a really huge benefit, not only in taking care of your sphere, but by doing a farm, you kind of bring them into your sphere. So you can grow your sphere very quickly and have 2 really great pillars of business. And then the other part that I think a lot of people struggle with in general, not just in farming, is they don't have an avatar of an ideal client that they want to serve. They'll just take every deal and then they get frustrated because they don't like these people, or they don't like the area, or it's too far of a drive. And so if you can develop an avatar of the people you want to serve, you'll be much happier in your business. For example, my avatar is the people I want to serve are people who already own a home, who are looking to sell and upgrade, or they own investment properties and they're looking to grow their portfolio or hire me for management services. Outside of that, I don't really like to take on other parts of business because it's not what brings me joy, and I'm not going to be a great agent if it doesn't bring me joy. So my results, just so you know, I'm not just making all this up. So I started farming in 2017, January 2017. As of December 2022, I have 28% market share, excuse me. My average income from farming is $150,000, and my average budget is 25 grand. So you can see I've got, a 5 or 6x ROI on my budget, but it's really important to stop and dissect these numbers a little bit. So I did a 5-year average on my income. Because if I just told you 2022, it was like 250, but 2017 was zero. So that's why I think it's really important to average those numbers. Farming is a long-term play, and you've really got to be committed to it in order to make sure that you're going to hit these kind of numbers. So I just didn't want to give you a really high number and have you be like, oh, that's super cool, and not tell you the whole truth behind it. But something else that happened to me that I didn't really think about or I didn't know was going to happen is I've gotten a bunch of outside deals. And what I mean by that is there's people in my farm who own investment properties, and I've done some 1031 exchanges or helped them liquidate those properties. I've become so known in the farm that people have family members moving from out of state, and I get that referral. So it's really crazy to me because I've become this top of mind person, but I'm getting transactions that are outside of my, I'm not selling a house in the farm, but the transaction is coming from the marketing dollars in my farm. So it's super cool. In fact, right now, like Amy, that deal I'm doing with Hunter is a farming deal, but they don't live in the farm. So that's proof that it actually works. So it's cool. So let's talk about how to pick the farm. So in my business, everything that I do, I pick it on 3 or 4 decision points. I don't just pick one because we often make decisions emotionally. So you've got to have 2 or 3 more data points before you decide to move forward with a project or not. So we'll dive in on the farm. So the foundation of picking a farm, it's got to be a neighborhood or an area that you like and you enjoy selling. I wouldn't pick somewhere just because it has a high price point or the turnover's high or there's not a dominant agent. Because what's going to happen is if you pick a neighborhood that the price point's too high, it's not going to turn over and you're going to be annoyed about the dollars that you're spending. Or if it's really far from you, you're going to hate driving there. So just make sure before you move beyond anything, it's somewhere that you actually want to go spend time getting to know the people, doing events, things like that. The other 2 points that are important but are inflexible on is going to be turnover. So all the industry experts, I guess we could call them, say that a geographic farm has to have an 8% turnover in order for you to say move forward and do it. And I'm a little flexible on that. And there's a couple of reasons why. So the first thing is if your farm that you're going to work has 1,000 homes and the turnover rate is 6%, you still have an addressable market of 60 deals a year. So I would spend money to go after those deals. However, if you're looking at a farm and the turnover rate's like 10 or 12%, I actually think that one is tougher to get involved in because the turnover is happening so fast. It's hard for you to establish yourself as the expert with everybody before the neighborhood turns over. So you have to be flexible on that and really not only look at the turnover rate, but the number of transactions that happen. The other thing is, if it's an area that's like around a lake and there's like, let's say 40 or 50 homes and the turnover is 8 or 10%, that's only 3 or 4 deals a year that you're going to get out of that. So it's probably not, it meets the number of percentage of turnover, but it's not a good one that I'd spend money on. And then the other thing that I'm flexible on that a lot of people are not is dominant agent. So they tell you to only go in a place where there's no dominant agent. And I'm speaking to you not from ego, but I am the dominant agent in my farm. And I will tell you that while I have most, 28%, there are people that are never going to work with me for whatever reason. It could be because I am the dominant agent. They don't like the way I look. They don't like my sarcasm. I think I'm super funny, but they don't think so. So there's all these reasons why they won't work with me. So if you're looking at a farm that's got, if you're looking at the past 3 years of sales and there's a dominant agent or an agent who has had some sales, the next year they have some more, and the next year they have some more, but they're not, in 20 or 25%, you probably could go after it if you do it the right way. If you've got a value proposition that agent doesn't have, if your marketing is better, whatever that is. So be flexible on turnover and dominant agent, but be non-negotiable, have a non-negotiable attitude about picking an area that you really like and you enjoy selling. Need to grab water. So once you've picked the area, and you're all in on the commitment, it's super important to make sure that you're committed to the area, the plan, and the budget. And so there's really three parts of this. So again, I have this like fun triangle with my foundation. So foundation of winning the farm is your relationship building. So you have to really be willing to dive deep with people and be face to face with people at events and all in with them. And I will tell you the easiest way to win those people, it's going to sound creepy when I say it, but let me finish. So you have to be all in with their kids, and not in a like I'm driving a van up to the neighborhood with no windows way, but if you're doing a neighborhood event, focus on things that people will bring their kids to. So all of my events minus garage sales are kid focused. And I'll tell you, I didn't realize that that was going to be a winning formula, but I've had agents who've tried to compete with me on doing events or get-togethers. And so what they've done is they've done things that they like to do, like poker nights, happy hour. They've done like painting with wine at some place, whatever that's called. But what's happened is when you do a happy hour or a poker night or something, you're asking these families to get a babysitter and give up a date night or something along those lines to come hang out with you at a happy hour or a poker night. And most people, when they're considering this, they're like, okay, am I going to give up date night to go sit at happy hour and listen to people complain about the HOA? Or am I just going to go out to dinner with my husband, have a good night, come home? And most people are going to pick date night versus coming to your happy hour. But if you do an event where it's already in the neighborhood, they don't have to pack the kids up and go anywhere, they can just walk over to it and they don't have to pay a babysitter, you're going to win every time when you cater to the children. So then the other two things is you've got to have a digital presence. So that's going to be, a Facebook community page, some digital marketing, things like that, and then direct mail. And so direct mail, can you put a 1 in the chat if you've like heard direct mail is dead, or that's what you think too? Because this is like the one hill I'm willing to die on with farming. Okay, Amy, thank you. Okay, so Amy, we got Amy. But she doesn't believe it. She's heard it. Okay, cool. So direct mail is, I think, the easiest way to reach a seller versus a buyer. Buyers, we do marketing online, we do Facebook ads, whatever. We can get them into our buyer funnel really easily. But the language and the call to actions for sellers is different online, and it's really hard to get them into our funnel. And, we used to do value ads, what's your home worth, but those don't work. So I'll dive deeper in the direct mail campaign, but that's really where that's the most expensive portion of farming, but I think it's the most valuable. So on the digital portion and the relationship building and the events, this is my event schedule that gets posted in the community Facebook page and mailed to all the homeowners. So we kick off all of our events in spring with an Easter egg hunt, and then we tie them all off in fall with a fall festival. So I'm going to run through each one of them really high level. And again, all of the resources and things we use, I'm going to email those to you so you can look at them and decide if that's something that works for you. So first thing we do is the Easter egg hunt. So we buy pre-filled Easter eggs from a company called Ayers Distribution, and you buy them by the 1,000. So I buy 4,000 eggs. It's like $500 or so to get those eggs. And they're a super cool company because they hire people with special needs, and they keep them employed all year round, which is super important to me. So that's why I enjoy supporting this company. So we get 4,000 eggs. We just throw them in the park. We line the kids up in 2 age groups, 4 and under, 5 and up. And we have an air horn go off at 10 a.m. The hunt's over by 10:05, 10:03 probably. And the great part about the Easter egg hunt is like there's no cleanup because the kids pick up everything for you. And then you get to spend some time with the parents. It's spring, so it's kind of chilly, so you don't have to be there all day. But it's cool. It's a good like kickoff for the neighborhood. And then we do 2 garage sales I do digital maps with QR codes, with signs with QR codes for digital maps at the entrances of the neighborhood. And then I do coffee and donuts for everybody that participates. And then we have like directional signs in the neighborhood where the sales are. This one is I mean, I spend like $100 on coffee and donuts each day, but this one's the most valuable, I think, because people who are doing garage sales are probably selling their home or they've got that idea. So when you pull up to a house that just has like the entire house in the driveway, it's so easy to get them and hook them right there. So that's why I love doing garage sales. I don't enjoy serving coffee and donuts, but it's so easy to get the listings. So I do that. And then I have 3 movie nights. So June, July, and August. We set up in a park. I own all the movie equipment. I found that buying it was cheaper than renting it every month. And then since I owned it, I could afford to do more movie nights. In addition to my equipment, we rent 2 bounce houses, and we have a food truck that comes. So it's chill. It's at the park. People come, bring their kids, hang out, have a beer, or whatever. And then I do a Facebook poll like 2 weeks before the actual movie night to pick what movie we're going to show. And then our last event after the fall garage sale is the fall festival. This one requires the most amount of work. And this one is the only one that I ask for financial sponsorship from. And I ask the HOA to pay a couple $1,000s for it. So we do a chili cook-off, pumpkin carving contest, a cakewalk, and we have a tent set up and bounce houses for 3 hours. And we always do it like the first Sunday in October because it's still warm enough to come and hang out. Weather's not terrible. And then it's it's just good for me to go speak with all the families. At every event, I make it a goal whenever a family walks into any of the parks, I make it a goal to go up, say hi, give their kids a high five, encourage their kids to go eat a bunch of sugar and have fun. And that's, like I said, when you bond with the kids, you win the parents every time. It's so easy. So with the events, I have banners in addition to everything else we do. I have banners that go up the Sunday before the event. Most of our events are Friday or Saturday, except the garage sale, that's both. So we put those up on Sundays before the event. So the banner's out all week for people driving by. Other people from other neighborhoods are seeing it. And really, I just have it there so that people are constantly seeing my name every time they come and go from the neighborhood, just as brand recognition. Okay, so here's 2 pictures from some farming events that I wanted to share. So the pig picture is just funny to me. So if you'll take a picture of the pig picture and tag me, and I want like the funniest comment that you can come up with me being a pig, whatever you want to call me is fine. And so everybody that does those 2 posts today on Instagram, will enter you for a $50 drawing. And then the other thing that I want to talk about is the picture on the left. And this one's super important to me because I used to be in my head about events. I used to be like, oh, everybody, nobody's going to come, or everybody's going to judge how stupid it is, or whatever it is. And this is an Easter egg hunt from 2019. It rained or it snowed the morning of the hunt. So we were literally out there like throwing eggs in the park, and it was snowing. So most of the eggs ended up beneath the snow. And I was like, nobody's going to come, and I'm going to have to pick up 4,000 Easter eggs today. This is really going to suck. But all these kids and their parents showed up regardless of the weather. And so that was really reaffirming to me that it's important what we do, and people are excited to come to these things and spend time with their community, even when the weather's not fun. Another thing that happened to me that I'll share that really I got in my head and I just had to change my mindset was the first time I did a movie night, my admin was in charge of it and he forgot to order the movie screen. So the day of the movie night, I was like, what time's the screen going to be here, Cody? And he was like, I don't know. I didn't do that. And so I had to scramble and find a movie screen to show the movie. And I ended up with one that was like some guy rented, movie screens for people to do movie nights in their backyard. And it was windy. I had to like tie it to a tree. It was terrible. just to be straight up. It was like an epic fail, but nobody complained. I mean, maybe some people made fun of me outside of it, but nobody complained. It was still, I still had fun. And then people keep coming back. So even if you're like questioning if this is for you, if you're worried what people are going to think, I think that if you can make the plan and you're committed to executing the plan, everything else will be super easy and super fun. So let's talk about direct mail, the hill I'm willing to die on. So my direct mail campaign is two mailers go out every month, and that's the top two. It's a coupon and a market update. It's with a community or a company called Boomerang. So they send out like a buy one, get one free, and then the market update just has some stats. I don't have to give them any of the information. They just handle all of it. But I look good because I'm in those people's mailbox twice a month. And the reason why I think it's so important to be in the mailbox so often is because when you look at most farming plans that most like brokerages give you or coaches encourage or things like that, they just tell you to send a postcard a month. And I don't think that's enough because most houses have two, I make a rhyme, most houses have two spouses, right? So if spouse A checks the mail in January when your postcard hits, and then spouse B checks the mail in February when your postcard hits, and then in March they're ready to sell, you don't have any brand recognition, or you don't have enough brand recognition with both spouses for them to be like, oh yeah, we need to call Amy to make this happen today. So you've got to be in the mailbox as much as possible so that they're seeing you when they get the mail. They're seeing you when you're doing banners. They're seeing you doing events. That like you become the person that is the obvious choice by being in all the mediums. And then the other thing is when you're doing all the mediums of marketing for yourself, they believe that you're going to market their home better than the agent who's out saying direct mail is dead or this doesn't work. Like you're doing it all, so they know that you are the smart choice. The next thing that I do every year is a recycle calendar. I'm going to show an example of that because it's really impactful. And then the other three things that I mail, event invitations for every event we do. You get an invitation and then just listed and just sold. So it ends up being a minimum of two mailers a month, but it averages over the year between all of these things between 3 and 4 times a month that you're in their mailbox. So you're always in it. And it's super cool once you do like you have an Easter egg invite that goes out 2 weeks before the hunt, and then you get it just listed in there, another just listed, and then you've got, another event, 2 more just sold. So they can really see that you're active and you are the right choice. So let's talk about the recycle calendar. So in my community where I live, we do recycling every other week and it's super confusing. Nobody knows when it is. And you always see on the Facebook page, like, is it recycle week? Is it not? And it's comical because all it takes is one person to come put their recycle bin out and then everybody else puts theirs out and it's not even recycle week. So I stole this idea from another agent in Vegas, and I made this in Canva, just made a recycling calendar, and then I had them printed on a sticker that's bumper sticker quality. So then I can mail it out at the end of the year with the 2023 calendar, and then everybody has the recycle date. And this piece lasts the longest because it goes on their can, they stick it on the can. And it's funny to me, I never thought my dream was to have my face on trash cans, but when I drive through the neighborhood every other Wednesday, I get to see my face all over the place. It's so much better than a recipe card or all those things that you think have longevity but get shoved somewhere. I actually give them instructions like put it on your can, you'll never forget recycling. And then the other thing that I do with this is whenever a buyer closes in the neighborhood, regardless of if I represented the seller or I represented the buyer, if I had nothing to do with the transaction, I send them this calendar and then I send them a welcome card that basically is like, make sure you join our HOA or make sure you join our Facebook page. Here's the recycling calendar. Here's also a calendar of our events that we're doing. Here's basic information about the neighborhood, like when trash day is, who the HOA contact is. So when I mail that to them, they close and I'm already becoming the expert in their mind. So I'm already trying to edge out their old agent as soon as they close in the neighborhood. This is the example of the coupons that we have through Boomerang. It's, you know, a buy one, get one free, a cheese pizza on the right, even though the pizza is not cheese. And the marketing, you know, the market update with some graphs and things. And like I said, I don't provide any of that data. They find it all and send it out. And then I have two more mailers that go out. We have a St. Patrick's Day one and a Christmas one. So we send this with a scratch off ticket, and then we ask them to tag us on Instagram when they get the scratcher, if they win or lose or whatever, and then we give them, you know, we do a drawing for a $50 gift card. And the reason why I do this is because once they tag me on Instagram, I can then follow them and I'm engaged in their life. And once I'm engaged, I know everything that's happening. So, you know, for example, when I had this just happen, Kyle got a job in Tennessee, his wife posted, and I was like, cool. So I sent him, you know, just a quick, like some crumble cookies, congratulations on your new job, Kyle, whatever. And then I got the listing. So by inviting people into my circle, I get to see all the life events where I know when it's time to strike in order to get the listing and serve them to be their agent. So we do this one on St. Patrick's Day, and then we do another one around Christmas time with the scratcher. And again, the goal is just to engage with them on social. So the next thing that I think is super important if you're going to do the farm and commit to it, you've got the plan, you've got the budget, is you have to put yourself in the expert position. It's easy to go on a listing appointment and talk about sales and comps and, you know, all of those things and talk about it. But when you show them what's going on, you immediately become elevated. So I used to go on these appointments and be like, okay, you have, you know, I have an Aspen, and here's an as an example. So I'd be like, okay, you have an Aspen floor plan. These are the last two Aspens that have sold, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they would just kind of glaze over because they didn't think that you cared about their house. Or they didn't think I cared about their house. I was just trying to tell them what's sold. So I changed my process a little bit. And I have a notebook of every sold in the neighborhood, regardless of if I sold it or not. And I have notes on it, just handwritten notes like upgrades, issues with the home, you know, bad finishes, needs paint, needs carpet, how the lot was, all of those things. And I just have them written down. And so when I go on the appointment, I give them the sales book and go, okay, you have an Aspen. Here are the Aspens that have sold recently. It had these issues or these upgrades. And then they go, okay, our house had this. And if you say issue, they go, oh, we have that issue. What do you mean that's an issue? And you've already put it in front of them as an artifact. So now they are questioning you and you immediately become the expert in their brain about the sales in the neighborhood. And then the other thing that I've done, and this isn't, I don't know if you can do, you probably can't do this everywhere in the country, but the farm that I work, I was able to get all the floor plans from the builder. So I have every floor plan that was built in the neighborhood. And on these floor plans, you can see the options and all of those things. So when somebody calls me from the farm, they tell me that they want to sell, the first thing I do is look up the house in public record. And if I can figure out what plan it is based off the square footage, I will immediately respond with, okay, you have the Aspen floor plan, correct? And you'll catch them off guard if you can give them something that they don't think that you would know or they don't know that you would know, and you can immediately take control of the conversation. So I'll say, hey, okay, you know, for example, Amy, you have the Aspen floor plan, and she'll be like, yeah. And then since you caught her off guard, and then you can move forward immediately and go, okay, cool. So on that plan, like for example, you have an option for a fourth bedroom. So I'd say, on your house, did you do the fourth bedroom or do you have the two-story family room? And she'll say, you know, we have the two-story family room. You go, okay, cool. And did you finish the basement with the builder? Yes. Okay, do you have the plan did you do the bedroom or no bedroom? And by asking those quick, easy questions, you're already the expert in their mind and you can take control of the conversation. So then You go to the appointment, you already know what you're walking into. And then you can say, hey, look, these are the Aspens that sold that had the, the 3 bedrooms and the bedroom in the basement, or no bedroom in the basement, whatever it is. But from there, you can take these plans, and I have a designer on Fiverr that I pay $6. I circle all the options that they took when they built the house, and then he'll include that, he'll rebuild the floor plan, and then I can include it in the marketing. So it's exactly their house, instead of saying, oh, here's all the options that were available. And then a buyer looks at it and goes, oh, I wish they would have done, the optional corner fireplace. That sucks. This house doesn't have that. So I just combine it. I make it a really great marketing piece. And then again, I look like the expert. That's like the goal over and over. So if you're in an area that maybe doesn't have floor plans, I would explore the area and see what the common trends are, or figure out why homes sell for more on one street than on another, so that you can start identifying those things that neighborhood is talking about. So when you get the call, you can immediately put it back on them, take control, and position yourself as the expert. So my next question that I get a lot is what I would have done differently. So up front, this list is kind of out of order, so I'm going to jump around a little bit. First thing I would have done, I would not try to be the hero. I used to try to be the guy who knew everything, who could solve everything. And it's exhausting. It's super, super exhausting. And I think people try and do that because they want to get the business, but you will overwhelm yourself. I'll tell you a quick story. I did a garage sale, and I rented a U-Haul, and I told people that at the end of the garage sale, whatever they didn't sell, they could come put in the U-Haul, and I would go donate it on their behalf. Well, what ended up happening was that U-Haul became the dumpster for the neighborhood for the afternoon. So I ended up with a packed U-Haul full of trash, and no thrift store or whatever would take this stuff. So it was a lot of drama, and all I was trying to do was be the hero to like help the donations. So I would just build the plan, stick to the events, and that's it. The other thing that I would do is I would have built deeper relationships sooner with people. And that ties in with being a better connector. So I used to be the guy whenever people would post in the Facebook group and say, hey, I need an electrician, or hey, I need a plumber. And I've got a plumber and electrician that I really like working with. So I would say, hey, person in my farm, you need to hire Jimmy. And Jimmy would go do the job, whatever. Well, there's a plumber probably who lives in the neighborhood. And so he would be like, well, that guy, like he runs a small business. He's not going to refer me, so I'm not going to refer him. And I've created not an enemy, but I haven't made an ally that would be easy to make. So now I know who all the small businesses are in the neighborhood. So when one person in the neighborhood says they need an electrician, even if it's not the normal electrician I would recommend, I say, hey, you need to call Brandy. She's the electrician in the neighborhood. And that makes me have 2 advocates in the neighborhood versus one advocate and then one guy who's like annoyed that I didn't refer him. And then the other thing is I would have collected more data up front. So when I had people coming to events, I would have tried to get them to sign up for my email list sooner. I was always scared to be that sales guy. But at the end of the day, I'm doing all of this for my business. So it's okay to ask. People don't have to sign up, but I would have done more to get more data, and then I could start retargeting them quicker on Facebook and things like that. Okay, so let's talk about how to get started. So, or not how to get started, but what to do. So first thing, again, identify the farm, commit to the budget, create the plan, execute, and then take a million pictures. Take as many pictures as you can and post them on social. It's the easiest way to get people to interact with you when you're doing super fun things. They want to come to them. They want to be supportive. So I would just say, like, make sure that the budget is good and you can stay committed to it for 12 months at least. I think it's an 18-month play before you start to see something significant. Some places say 6 months. That's not enough for me. And then what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to send these slides out to you and my resources, but then I'm also going to include a link to my calendar. So if you need help analyzing a farm, or looking at turnover rates or dominant agent, things like that, we can schedule a call. I talk about this all the time now, so it's super easy for me to run through with you on what works and what doesn't work. So you can just book a call and we'll go through it. No, just because it's what I like to do. So that's what I got for you. I have more marketing pieces if you want to see them. If you want to put some questions in chat or raise your hand, I can allow you to talk. Whatever you need. I'm here till 10. So any questions, just put them in chat. Amy asked if I'm utilizing Nextdoor at all. I am not, and I don't have a reason for that other than every time I've tried to sign up for Nextdoor, I can't get on. I don't know why. I know that some people are really heavy into it and it works. I've just never built a presence there. All right. Any other questions? Fun things you want to talk about? Oh, I'm glad you loved it, Tamina. I'll send it out to you. Oh, there's so I'll just share some marketing stuff. So a lot of people know that oh wait, hold on. Do you take other agents that live in the neighborhood off of your list? This is a really great question. So I don't, and here's why. Most agents are scared to commit to spending the money or committing to a long-term plan. So I leave them on the list to overwhelm them. I want them to believe that there's no way in the world they can compete with me. So I leave everybody on. In my farm, there's 343 homes, and at last count, there's 29 agents. And now, I mean, that's the law of averages with agents, right? So most of them don't produce, some of them do. But 10% of my farm has a real estate license. So I have to make sure that they don't want to compete with me ultimately. So I leave them on. Okay, so I'll share some more marketing pieces. So this is my Easter egg hunt. I always add, like you saw on St. Patrick's Day, a hat or ears or whatever to my photo, just to make it more fun and less uptight. I think that people approach me easier, or they'll have conversations when they know that I'm willing to have more fun with them. Of course, I have to change this branding since I moved brokerages, but all of these marketing pieces that I make for events, I do all in Canva. It's super easy to make it, keep it, and just edit the dates. This is garage sale. So this is just a postcard that goes out. They just scan the QR code to sign up. I have them scan the QR code to sign up. Because it's easy, but then also I add them to my custom audience in Facebook so that I can retarget the marketing. And then here's a movie night one. We just always put the movie that we're going to show. All right, so let me stop the share. I've got a couple of people who raised their hand. Let me get back to that. Oh. Okay, so Amy. Okay, Paula, I'm going to let you. I saw you raise your hand, Paula. What's your question? You're on mute too, by the way. Oh, here. There we go. I can't hear you, Paula. If you want to put your question in chat, I'd be happy to answer it. Okay. Maybe Paula, maybe it was a mistake. So that's what I got for everybody. Is there any more questions or anything? If you want to put them in chat, I'd love to answer them, or we can end here and I'll look at your funny things that you tagged me on Instagram. Tamina, do you need to get permits? Tamina, I'm gonna allow you to talk. I don't know that I followed the question, but we can just go ahead and if you just want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, thanks so much. So this is really, really interesting, and I really like your comprehensive approach that you've done, touching on all different mediums and just making it fun and interesting. So regarding your garage sales and also the movie night, I'm assuming, is this like, are you farming in a gated community?
It's not gated, but it is
So
like
it's a
an HOA
neighborhood.
subdivision. Yeah.
So is there designated area? It looks like you did the Easter egg hunt at a park, but I was just curious, like, do you have to get permitting? Like here, if we were to try to do something like that, I probably have to go get a permit. And I was just curious, and also about the garage sale. So you're sponsoring the garage sale for the area, like everybody brings their stuff to one area,
So
like
with garage
a block
sale,
area or something like that, like some open space.
no, they're just putting their garage sale in their driveway.
Okay.
And people are driving through the neighborhood. So yeah, no one's bringing their stuff. As far as permitting for like using, so the neighborhood I work, it has two parks. So one is
Mm-hmm.
HOA owned and one is city owned. So I get permission from the HOA to use the HOA park for movie night. And then I do have to get permission to use the city park for the fall festival because they have sprinklers. So I have to make sure the sprinklers are off, but the sprinklers aren't on for Easter egg hunt. So on that one, I just kind of wait to ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Do you carry like insurance and stuff like that? I mean, I know I'm asking a lot of questions, but I just
No, these are great questions. So I owned the brokerage, so I had a general liability policy, but
right.
I've never needed it, knock on wood. And I can't think of why. I guess if somebody got hurt, I would need it. But
I'm just curious, that's all. I've done a
yeah,
little bit of event planning when I worked for a consulting company. I didn't do it, but we always had to do stuff like that. So I just know some of that would go really over, you know, very well in our community. Our area
right.
loves garage sales. So I was curious how you put that together. And I have seen them do, like the chamber has sponsored community and they pick an area and everybody brings their stuff because maybe somebody doesn't want to do. So I was just curious how you were coordinating all of that. But I see you just pick a date and you just organize it for everybody. You make it easy for everybody. So I get it.
Yeah, I don't, going back to like not wanting to be the hero, I want to make it as easy as I can
Yeah.
to do that. So
All right. Thank you.
yeah, of course. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad I made it.
Uh, cool. Well, we have Amy still on and Marjorie still on. Do you guys have any questions or are we good? And oh, Paula's still here too. So okay, doesn't look like we have anything else. So I appreciate everybody coming today. I'll look forward to seeing your tags on Instagram. I'm actually excited for that part of it. And I hope you all have a super great day. Thanks for coming.